Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going deep on something a listener specifically requested, and that's fluent English.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's a popular topic, and this listener sent in this YouTube video called Think Smart, Speak Fluent
Okay.
from Jason and Julia over at Easy English Talk.
I've heard of those guys.
Yeah, they're great, and I'm really curious what they have to say about this.
Yeah, me too.
So obviously this listener is looking to, become more fluent.
Right, and who isn't?
Exactly. So should we just jump right in?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, great. So what really jumped out at me from this video was their focus on thinking in English.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like, it's not just about, memorizing all this vocab and grammar.
Right.
It's like actually changing how your brain processes the language.
Yeah, totally. They make a really strong case for why that's so important.
Yeah, and I was really intrigued by that analogy. They used, the brain as a highway.
Uh-huh.
But I got to be honest, I could use a little more explanation on that one.
Okay.
Like, how does thinking in English really make those connections stronger?
Well, so imagine this. Every time you translate from, your native language, your brain's basically taking this detour, right? It's adding another step to the whole process.
Interesting.
And that creates what they call those mental traffic jams.
Oh, I see.
But when you think directly in English, you're building this, super highway.
Right.
Letting those thoughts just flow freely.
So it's all about, strengthening those pathways in your brain.
Exactly.
Making it a habit to actually think in English.
Neuroscience tells us that repetition strengthens connections in the brain.
Uh-huh.
So the more you think in English, the easier and faster retrieval becomes.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like building muscle memory, but for your brain.
I love that.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. So it's not just about, knowing the words. It's about being able to use them quickly and naturally.
Right, exactly.
Okay, so how do we actually start, training our brains to think in English?
Well, they suggest starting small.
Okay.
Instead of, trying to think these big complex thoughts.
Right.
Just focus on describing everyday objects and actions in English. Remember that example they gave? This is coffee, it's hot. I like coffee.
Yeah, I have to admit, when I first heard that, I was like, really? That's it?
Right.
But I get what they're saying. You have to start somewhere.
Yeah, you got to lay that foundation, and then as you get comfortable, you can gradually, build up to more complex stuff.
So it's like learning a new dance move.
Yeah.
You master the basic step before you try to, spin and twirl all over the place.
Totally.
So what other strategies did they recommend for building that strong foundation?
One that really stood out to me was associating words with, really vivid images or emotions.
Okay.
So instead of just memorizing a word like happy, connect it with a specific memory that gives you that feeling.
Like creating a mental movie for each word.
Exactly.
I could see how that would make it stick.
Yeah.
Okay, so what about actually speaking fluently?
Well, first we got to address this big misconception. A lot of people think fluency equals speaking fast.
Oh, yeah.
But Jason and Julia emphasize that fluency is more about clarity, natural flow, and confidence.
So it's not like a speed talking competition.
No, not at all.
Phew, that's a relief.
In fact, they highlight the power of pauses.
Oh, yeah.
Those little moments of silence can actually make you sound more natural and give your brain time to catch up.
It's like the punctuation of spoken language.
Exactly.
Those pauses help us understand where one thought ends and another begins.
Right.
Okay, so any other strategies for speaking more fluently?
One tip that I really liked was the idea of ditching the translator in our heads. The more you rely on translating from your native language, the less fluent you'll sound.
That makes sense.
It's about embracing that thinking and speaking directly in English, even if it feels awkward at first.
Oh, I bet that's tough.
It can be, but it's so important for developing real fluency.
Yeah.
They also really stressed consistent practice speaking English every day, even if it's just for a few minutes.
It's like any skill, right?
Yeah.
The more you practice, the better you get.
Exactly.
Did they mention any specific practice techniques?
Yeah, they talked about something called the shadowing technique.
Okay.
It's where you listen to native speakers and try to mimic their speech patterns.
Oh, like learning a new song by singing along with a recording.
Exactly. You're training your brain and your mouth to work together.
I like it.
And it's a great way to pick up on those little nuances of pronunciation and intonation.
Cool.
And they also emphasized embracing mistakes as opportunities for growth.
Oh, yeah.
Don't be afraid to stumble over words or make errors. It's all part of the process.
Like they say, you never fail, you only learn.
Exactly.
Speaking of learning, what was that challenge they mentioned at the end of the video?
Oh, yeah, the 1-minute challenge.
Yeah.
It's designed to help you put those fluency skills into action.
Okay.
So you pick a topic, anything that interests you,
Uh-huh.
and then you speak about it in English for a full minute without stopping.
Wow. Okay, that sounds like a great way to practice thinking at your feet and get those words flowing.
Yeah. Do you think we should give it a try?
Absolutely. And I think it would be awesome if our listeners joined in, too.
Me too.
It's a fun and effective way to boost fluency and build confidence.
Totally.
But before we jump into that, maybe we should take a quick pause and gather our thoughts.
Okay. Yeah, good idea.
We'll come back and dive into that 1-minute challenge and share some tips for making the most of it, so stay with us.
Sounds good.
All right, so we're back, and I am feeling a little intimidated by this 1-minute challenge.
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge.
Any advice on how to, approach it?
Well, remember, the point isn't to give this perfect presentation.
Okay,
It's about pushing yourself to think and speak in English spontaneously.
okay.
Embrace those imperfections.
Easier said than done.
I know, right?
Okay, but I'm game. I'm willing to try it. Where do we even begin?
Well, Jason and Julia had some good tips in the video.
Okay,
They said to pick a simple topic, something you're already familiar with,
right.
so you can talk about comfortably.
Yeah, so no need to, explain quantum physics.
No, exactly.
What kind of topics would you suggest?
Just think everyday things, your daily routine, your hobbies, favorite foods.
Uh-huh.
A recent book you read, a memorable travel experience.
I got it.
The key is to choose something that you don't have to search for words.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I'm already feeling a little less intimidated.
Good.
So what about structuring those thoughts? I tend to ramble when I get nervous.
Yeah, they recommend starting with simple sentences.
Okay,
Don't worry about complex grammar or fancy vocabulary.
right.
Just focus on getting your ideas across clearly.
So, I enjoy reading. I recently finished a great novel. It was a mystery, something like that.
Exactly. Perfect.
Okay.
It's those simple building blocks that create a solid foundation for fluency.
Yeah.
And remember, it's totally fine to use those filler words.
Like, right?
If you need a second to think.
That's good to know.
It happens to everyone.
And those pauses actually make you sound more natural.
For sure, they give your brain a chance to catch up.
Right.
And prevent those awkward silences.
Yeah, that's a good point. Any other strategies to keep those words flowing?
This might sound a little weird.
Okay.
But they said to try asking yourself questions about the topic as you speak.
Wait, like I'm having a conversation with myself?
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
So if you're talking about your favorite hobby, you might ask, why do I enjoy this? What are the challenges? What have I learned from it?
Interesting. It's like prompting your brain to come up with more ideas.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, I like it. I think I'm ready to give this a shot, but how will I know if I'm actually improving?
Well, one of the most valuable tips they gave was to record yourself
Oh, yeah.
while you're doing the challenge.
So I can listen back and analyze my performance like an athlete reviewing game footage.
Exactly. You can pinpoint areas where you can improve, like pronunciation, pacing, or grammar.
Right.
And the best part is you can track your progress over time.
That's really motivating.
As you practice, you'll notice yourself becoming more fluent and confident.
I love that I'm all about celebrating those small wins.
Me too.
So are you ready to take on this challenge?
I am. Let's pick a topic,
Okay,
set the timer, and see what we can do.
let's do it.
And remember, listeners, we're all in this together.
Yeah.
Let's encourage and support each other on this journey to fluency.
Awesome. Okay, I'm going to talk about my recent trip to the art museum.
Oh, nice.
That should be fairly easy to describe.
Cool. What about you?
I think I'll tackle, how about the history of coffee?
Ooh, that's a good one.
It's something I find fascinating.
Nice. All right, so let's set those timers.
Okay.
3, 2, 1, go.
Wow, that was intense.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
I have to admit, it was harder than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
Like, my mind went blank a couple times.
Oh, yeah, me too.
But I just kept reminding myself to keep talking, even if I was repeating myself.
I know. It's amazing how much pressure that timer adds.
Yeah.
But, it was kind of exhilarating, too. I
Right.
felt like I was really pushing myself
Yeah.
to think and speak in English.
For sure. So what did you learn from listening back to your recording?
Well, I definitely noticed some areas for improvement.
Okay.
Like, I could slow down my pace a little bit
Uh-huh.
and enunciate more clearly.
Yeah.
But I was also surprised by how much I was able to say.
Oh, wow.
Like a year ago, I don't think I could have talked for a full minute
Right.
without constantly translating in my head.
That's amazing progress. You should be proud of yourself.
Thanks.
Remember, fluency isn't about being perfect. It's
Right.
not making progress.
Yeah, that's a good point. So what about my recording? Anything stand out to you?
Honestly, I thought you sounded really fluent.
Oh, thanks.
But I did notice that you used a couple filler words.
Oh, really?
Like, and, well.
Oh, yeah, I heard those too. And at first I was like, oh, man, I got to get rid of those.
Right.
But then I remembered what Jason and Julia said about those pauses actually being helpful.
Totally. They give your brain a moment to process.
Yeah, it's funny how we criticize ourselves for things that native speakers do all the time.
Right.
It's a good reminder for all of us learning English.
For sure, this whole deep dive has really shown how important it is to shift our mindset.
Uh-huh.
It's not about trying to sound exactly like a native speaker.
Yeah.
It's about communicating clearly and confidently.
And what I love about Jason and Julia's approach is that it's so accessible.
Right.
You don't need fancy software or expensive tutors.
Nope.
You can start improving your fluency right now by
Today,
just thinking and speaking in English.
even if it's just to yourself, they
Yeah.
gave us so many great tips
Yeah.
from narrating our day to associating words with images to
Yeah.
embracing those mistakes.
Yeah.
It's all about making English a natural part of our lives.
And that 1-minute challenge is such a good way to practice.
Totally. I'm already thinking about what I want to talk about next time.
Me too. Jason and Julia made a really important point about celebrating those small wins.
Oh, yeah.
It's so easy to get caught up in trying to be perfect
Right.
that we forget to acknowledge our progress.
Absolutely. What's one small victory you've achieved in your English journey that you're proud of?
That's a good question. I think for me, it's being able to have conversations without feeling self-conscious.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Like I used to overthink every word I said,
Yeah,
but now I just let the words flow.
that's great. What about you?
Well, I'd say for me, it's feeling more confident when I travel.
Okay.
I used to be so nervous to speak English with locals,
Yeah.
but now I actually look forward to those interactions.
That's so great. And, it's not just about the language itself.
Yeah.
It's about the doors that Fluency opens.
Exactly.
It allows us to connect with people from all over the world.
Share ideas, experience new cultures.
Yeah, it's like gaining a superpower.
I love that. So to everyone listening, remember that this journey to fluency is ongoing.
It is.
There will be ups and downs,
Mhm.
moments of frustration and moments of triumph.
Right.
But the key is to keep practicing, keep exploring, and keep believing in yourself.
I agree, because with the right mindset and consistent effort, you can achieve fluency.
And unlock a world of possibilities.
Absolutely.
Well, I think it's time to wrap up our deep dive into Think Smart, Speak Fluent.
Yeah.
We hope you found this episode as insightful and inspiring as we did.
We had so much fun unpacking these strategies with you.
Yeah, now it's your turn. What will you do today to boost your fluency?
Go ahead and take that 1-minute challenge.
Yeah.
Narrate your day in English, or just strike up a conversation with someone new.
Remember, every step, no matter how small, brings you closer to fluency.
Keep practicing
And learning.
and keep those English thoughts flowing.
Until next time, happy learning.